2012 budget proposal, as was done recently, and so many matters. Achike Chude joins us now, public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Chamberlain.
Well, beyond some of these figures, and of course taking a look at some of the figures while looking at it also, so many issues are raised, challenges identified, some already analyzing and thinking it's somewhat contradictory, but your perspective on this entire budget presentation. They say they need to create jobs and a whole lot of issues highlighted. Are you optimistic this time?
I want to be optimistic, and I think it's time that we, otherwise there are all kinds of psychiatric cases coming up in the country, and then psychologists will tell you, or sociologists, that some of these things are related to the problems and challenges that Nigerians are increasingly facing every day. So it's good to be optimistic, but optimism must be built on concrete facts and structures on ground. And again, we cannot divorce our present from the past. And so we've had, maybe so many decades of budget planning, budget, making an implementation and so on. And then every other in a sector of the economy is still in comatose. And people could make the argument, yes, why not give this person a chance? He's been there, that's the president, has been there for quite some time. And we have not seen any visible, progress on ground in the country. Look at virtually every sector of the nation's political economy. It's the same state of chaos and lack of progress. And so we want to be optimistic, but again, that this budget is being overshadowed by the subsidy issue, and it's very, very contentious. And I can tell you that so many people, so many Nigerians are saying that we have been stretched too thin,
but yesterday,
and there's no way back.
The coordinating minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, perhaps we'll get the report soon, did say that, in fact, quoted in the Daily City, look at that, President still consulting on subsidy.
Well, the issue, are they consulting with the mechanics? Are they consulting with those who use kerosene? Are they consulting with, or are they consulting with unions, with people?
What do you think?
I do not think they are doing the right kind of consultation. If you want to consult, you consult with the Nigerian people. Nigerian people, as represented by the suffering masses of the people who we are told that 70% of them are living on less than $1 a day. Now, what you're doing?
But those people will be represented by those who can articulate their views.
Who are those that represent, and who are those that articulate the views of the mechanics, the plumbers, the carpenters, and so on, and the common people who are in the majority in this country? They are consulting with those people who do not have a problem, with buying fuel at whatever price that the government puts it, because they have the resources and so on. But it's not about those people. It's about those people who cannot earn, who cannot have more than a meal a day in this country. And we are told that there are over 70% of the Nigerian population. And so there is no amount of consulting that can actually articulate the interests of these people. This is the reality. The fact is that our people are living in very abject poverty. If you look at wealth per capita, even in Africa, that of Nigeria is one of the lowest in the whole of Africa, in the sub-region and so on, and so many other things. And people want to inflict. I don't understand really what is going on. They sit down there, the governors sit down there, and they tell you that they are the representatives of the people and so on. They tell people for a very long time Nigerians have been making sacrifices. Don't forget the days of SAP. Don't forget even the government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari. So when we are told to tighten our belts and so on and so forth, over 3 decades, and there has been no visible improvement in the lives of the people, and you are still asking these same people to make these sacrifices. They make these sacrifices, and for so many years they don't see anything, any visible result. And what other sacrifice can you actually ask them when the very leadership who are making this sacrifice of them are busy every day accumulating more wealth and so on, and they don't make any sacrifice themselves for the nation?
Well, I think when you speak now, taking us back memory lane, it looks like it's all a matter of trust, the way it is. So what if, given the benefit of the doubt, and everything works perfectly well with this removal of subsidy, and we start to reap it, to the extent that all of those, the mechanic, the plumbers, and all those you talk about, start to have a good time being Nigerians?
Yeah, you see, they say trust is something that is earned, that is merited. It's not just a given that you must trust. And so you want to believe that the president has been there even before he ran for election in April and became president once more. He has been there. So you want to ask yourself, what has he been able to achieve all this time that would now galvanize Nigerians into trusting that the president can do something?
Let's see if we could shed some light on that consultation matter. She spoke on that. Let's listen to her now.
It was a news conference to intimate Nigerians about the 2012 budget earlier presented by the President to the National Assembly. At the conference were top officials from the nation's finance sector, journalists and other Nigerians from all walks of life. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, first reeled out the focus of the 2012 budget, but refused to be categorical on when government plans to implement the proposed removal of subsidy on petroleum products.
The President is consulting widely. He makes the final decision. He's talking to stakeholders all over the country, and at the appropriate time he will make the decision. We are really reversing the declining trend of capital and the increasing trend of recurrent expenditure and taking them back to more reasonable figures. If we have recurrent spending back down to about 2/3, then we would really have achieved something, and we can continue to restructure the budget from there.
The Minister of Finance said the 2012 budget will focus on how to reduce wastage, especially in the public service. She announced plans to commence biometrics for staff of ministries, agencies and parastatals, as well as pensioners in the country.
We've already started. We are finding that with biometrics in some of our agencies of workers and pensioners, that we're being able to weed out ghost pensioners and ghost workers and bring down the pension bill and the amount we are spending in some of these agencies, and we are going to continue that exercise. I think it will yield good results. The second thing we are going to do is actually look at restructuring agencies with overlapping functions.
While the 2011 budget is said to have achieved 60% implementation, government officials are also asking Nigerians to monitor the implementation of the 2012 budget.
Well, there you have it, consulting with major stakeholders in the industry. So perhaps if we could assume that may just eventually include the mechanics you talked about.
Well, you see, the danger of this is that, you know, the traditional opposition bloc against things like this has always been Labour and some members of the civil society group, especially the Joint Action Forum, a pro-Labour civil society organization. They have always been the bulwark of this opposition to fuel subsidy removal and so on. But the danger is that as they consult widely with these people, governors, representatives of Nigerians, if you put it that way, maybe Labour leadership and so on, and they go ahead to implement it based on the outcome of this consultation, it will only leave Nigerians with the impression that they have nobody to speak for them, and that it is time for them, for the Nigerians, to actually take up the mantle of opposition.
Dangerous.
That is very, extremely very dangerous, because it will get to a level where Nigerians, even depending on the position of Labour, where Nigerians will begin to say, no, our hope does not lie even in organized Labour and civil society groups. It is time, that we actually begin to take things, into our hands. And like you said, to bring about an anarchical, chaotic situation. And believe me, anything can happen.
Why is it that it is just one side of the divide that thinks this way? On the other side, for instance, on the government side, they don't reason it that way, because they must have done their consultation probably, done their own research to have known that nothing of such would ever happen.
Well, if you say so, but do not forget, I was on a similar program some 3-4 years ago, channels in the morning, I think, and when they had said, the government said they were going to deliver 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Now the government has the statistics, they have the data, they have the resources and so on. And after, like you said, they had done their research and they said we will deliver 5,000 megawatts. I told the people there that day that it wasn't going to happen, that they are not going to deliver 1 megawatt of electricity, no matter how much they have spent. Now, I do not have the privilege of knowing having all the information at the tip of government. You understand? But I knew, because you're not looking. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at the fundamentals. What is it that motivates these people? How do these people get to where they are? And what is the driving factor behind this? Is it about self-aggrandizement or good governance?
Why were you so sure? I mean, wasn't that just being cynical on your part?
Well, my cynicism was proved right. They didn't deliver 1 megawatt of electricity in this country. I mean, you all know that they have, for some time now, they've been beating themselves in the chest, their hands in the chest, that they are producing over 4,000 megawatts. And just yesterday, I think it was even Channels, was one of the TV stations that announced that they had lost about 1,800 megawatts of electricity from a thermal station.
That malfunctioned.
The issue is this: you have a maintenance crew. The issue is this: you have parts that at all times must always be on ground, and so on and so forth. And these things happen, but whether it malfunction or not, the issue is that they are generating less than 3,000 megawatts of electricity today.